In the SEC championship game, Alabama beat Florida 52-46. And this was a fantastic game. Loved watching it. High-level quarterback play. It made me so happy that all year my thought about the SEC has been, thank goodness that finally the SEC figured out how to coach quarterbacks. Last year we saw Joe Burrow, Tua, we got Mac Jones, Kyle Trask. There's good quarterbacks all over this conference. And it makes me so happy. I'm like, finally the SEC figured out quarterbacks. And it makes the SEC so much more enjoyable to watch for me personally. I'm like, I love high-level quarterback play, and the SEC has it now. By the way, aside from quarterbacks, I mean, there was so much NFL talent in this game. You had a couple standouts. There were 3 first-round picks, in my opinion. Kyle Pitts, the tight end for Florida. He had 7 catches for 129 yards and a touchdown. You had Alabama receiver Devontae Smith. He had 15 catches for 184 yards receiving and 2 more touchdowns for him. And then the guy who blew me away in this game was Alabama's running back, Najee Harris. It's weird to me, by the way, how are Mac Jones and Devontae Smith in the Heisman contention when, in my opinion, and no knock on them. They're great, by the way. Mac Jones, I'm a huge fan. I've really grown on him all year. Devontae Smith blew me away. He's a first-round pick easily. I think might even be probably should be the first receiver drafted in the 2021 NFL Draft. But how can the best player in college football be either of them when Najee Harris is on their team, who clearly, in my opinion, is the best player on Alabama's team? Against Florida, Najee Harris not only had 31 carries for 178 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, he also had 5 passes caught. He caught 5 passes for 69 yards receiving and 3 more touchdowns. So Najee Harris had 5 total touchdowns on the day. Oh yeah, by the way, he was great in pass protection as well. No one talks about this from running backs. It's like from an NFL perspective, if your running back cannot protect the quarterback in pass pro, it's not going to work long term. Najee Harris gets in the trenches. He digs in deep. He protected Mac Jones multiple times from getting it. The reason why Devontae Smith was catching the ball is because Najee Harris is in there in the backfield, putting blocks on the guys, keeping Mac Jones upright. And I walked away so impressed with Najee Harris. I really love the guy. I think he's not going to win the Heisman, but man, if there's anybody on Alabama's team that should win the Heisman, it is Najee Harris. Now, watching this game, I was really reminded of how many potential 2021 quarterbacks are going to be in the how many quarterbacks are going to be in the 2021 NFL Draft? Potentially. I mean, you look around, you have Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. Of course, obviously, you have Zach Wilson from BYU. And then maybe Kyle Trask and maybe Mac Jones. They're both eligible. They could go. You have Trey Lance from North Dakota State. You have Jamie Newman in the mix. Both Kyle Trask and Mac Jones have grown on me the more I've watched them play this year. Kyle Trask, I was like, I really was not impressed with him last year. I mean, people liked him. He won games, and that's good. Like, he had good stats and stuff. But Kyle Trask has made so many NFL-level throws this year. Great ball location, especially down the sideline on back shoulder throws. I'm so impressed with him. Kyle Trask reminds me a lot of Drew Brees, where he's a guy who his strength is accuracy. His ball location is phenomenal. He's a good decision maker. He doesn't have the strongest arm in the world. But I look at Kyle Trask and go, he's a taller version of Drew Brees. And if Drew Brees does retire, by the way, I desperately want to see New Orleans draft Kyle Trask. I think he'd be a great fit there. I mean, imagine the dynamic duo you would develop between Kyle Trask and Michael Thomas in New Orleans. I mean, his ball location thrown to Michael Thomas would be phenomenal. And then also imagine Kyle Trask being coached by Sean Payton. Like, oh my, I want that so badly. And then there's Mac Jones, Alabama quarterback. And I wonder if he's going to enter the NFL draft this year. I think it's a first-round pick if he does. He's at least in the conversation for sure. And really, I mean, if he enters the draft, the number 3 quarterback off the board is going to be interesting because a team like, for example, Carolina, if Carolina is the 3rd team in the NFL draft who is picking a quarterback, would they take Zach Wilson out of BYU? Or would they draft Mac Jones out of Alabama? It's actually a real conversation in my head. I go, Mac Jones has made a name for himself. He's played very, very well. And, I mean, Mac Jones' play style reminds me a lot of Matt Ryan. And it's kind of funny, both Matt Ryan was coached by Steve Sarkisian in Atlanta. The current offensive coordinator at Alabama right now is Steve Sarkisian coaching Mac Jones. Maybe that's why their footwork in the pocket looks similar. But both are not super mobile. That's part of why their footwork looks very similar. I would imagine that even Mac Jones might study Matt Ryan. And both have a ton of arm talent. I see so many similarities between Matt Ryan and Mac Jones. Now, I also know that Mac Jones has a lot of talent around him. People say, well, he's got amazing receivers and a great running back and a great offensive line. And you're not wrong, right? For sure. It helps to throw to the best players in the country. Absolutely. But also, give credit to Mac Jones. He's got good habits. And Mac Jones another quarterback could win at Alabama, but another quarterback could not do exactly what Mac Jones is doing at Alabama, elevating their team. There's a reason they're the number one team in the nation. It's in large part because of their quarterback. I mean, he navigates the pocket very, very well, sliding to avoid pressure. He steps up in the pocket. He's disciplined. He's accurate. Dude has a huge arm. I buy into Mac Jones big time. I'm a big fan. I love the guy. And there was a really cool moment after the game. Tim Tebow was actually interviewing Mac Jones. And I guess they're both from the Jacksonville area. I didn't know that about Mac Jones. And Tebow asked Mac, he said, where do you get your mindset, this focused and this disciplined, intense attitude? And Mac Jones said, honestly, I get it from you. And it's kind of a cool moment where Mac Jones revealed that growing up, Tebow was his favorite player. And I'm like, that's awesome. I love that. I mean, I relate to that. I remember watching Tim Tebow talk about his work ethic, and it really inspired me as a kid. And so I guess in the end, look, I walked away going, Mac Jones is awesome. Kyle Trask is phenomenal. There's a lot of NFL talent here on this field. But Florida could not overcome the rough start they had in this game. Bama got ahead, and Alabama never looked back. They had the lead, and they never really gave it up. Florida had 4 key mistakes at the beginning of the game where they had 2 penalties that extended drives on defense for giving Alabama first downs. Kyle Trask had a throw to Justin Shorter that Justin was wide open deep. Kyle Trask missed it. That's a huge opportunity. You missed out on 7 points. And then Florida picked off Mac Jones. Huge turn of events. And then on the interception return, Mechie just rocked whoever the defender was for Florida. And Florida fumbled the ball and gave it back to Alabama. It's like, oh, what could have been wasn't. And so otherwise, other than those 4 mistakes by Florida, both teams played very, very well. It was a really intense, really fun game to watch. And Bama narrowly won, but it was just a phenomenal, phenomenal game all around, and a hard-fought, well-played game by both Alabama and by Florida.